Welcome back to the new SC podcast. We are talking Oklahoma's path to the national title. They will be playing their first game of the playoffs against Alabama down in Norman next week. We're going to be previewing that game more in depth. We're going to be talking more about what Oklahoma needs to do to win a national title this year. What does their path look like? Who might they be playing? What are some of the keys that this team can carry into the playoffs? What can they be improving on over the next couple weeks to be a true contender? Randall, I'm excited for what Oklahoma can do in the playoffs this year. Excited that they made it a good turnaround from last season. Love what they're doing, especially defensively. So, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm excited they got in. I feel like they started the season off so hot, beating a good Michigan team, beating some teams pretty handedly. And, we're on a tear up until that Texas game. This defense deserved to make the playoffs. And so I was excited to see what they were able to do in the back half of the season, beating Alabama and really cementing their place as a top team in the SEC. What excites me about what they can do in the playoffs is that I truly do not believe there's a better defense in the playoffs than this team. I think Ohio State is a great defense. I think that, Indiana's a great defense, but Oklahoma has stifled some of the best offenses in the country this whole season.
Yeah. And I have an interesting stat. We hear the stats around sacks. I got one here. 45% of drives against Oklahoma's defense don't get 10 yards. 20% of the drives against Oklahoma don't get any yards. They get 0 or fewer yards. That's fourth nationally when you're looking at drives against the defense. They're doing really, really well at putting teams in unmanageable situations. They're getting to the quarterback. You might get to third and manageable, but they're going to put that pressure on and get to you. And it's helping this team to win games. They've been outgained in multiple games, but the defense is putting them in positions to win, whether it's turnovers, whether it's controlling field position. They have been such a dominant force that no matter how the offense plays, you got to consider this team to win the game because of what the defense can do.
Let's just double click into that. 45% of drives, they don't give up more than 10 yards on defense. So it's like going to work and getting everything done in 2 hours. And you go back and sit back down on the couch. And you let your offense do what they have to do.
It's reps.
I mean, Venables, he was probably the reason Clemson was winning these championships, defensively, right? You put a championship defense out there, and that's what they have here. When you think about what this defense is able to do, the first team in the way, we'll say, is Alabama.
Mm-hmm. And
high-level thoughts in that matchup, high-level thoughts on what this defense can do and what they've shown they can do.
Yeah, and we'll be breaking that game down further, but in that game, you've already played them once. And what you did in that game was create opportunities for your offense that are favorable. And that's what I see as kind of the key in any game that Oklahoma plays in the playoffs is how do you create favorable opportunities for your offense? And that's short field. You get a pick six, you put your offense into more comfortable situations. That's what they did in the first Alabama game, and it came because of pressure that they were getting on quarterbacks, throwing them off of their game, flipping the field, a great special teams unit. So as you look at this Alabama team, they can't run the ball. Ty's going to have to sit in the pocket and throw. That's great for your pass rushing guys. They don't have to worry as much about stopping the run. They know they can get there and try to get home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they know they have guys that can get there and really stop them, it makes things a lot easier. And I mean, on the other side, offensively, we've seen this offense be able to turn on kind of when they need it. We've seen Satania get involved. The rushing attack has gotten better. When we think about the path for Oklahoma, it really lies in beating Alabama, and then you're met with Indiana in the Rose Bowl. The quarterback that's most likely going to be holding the Heisman on Saturday.
And an interesting thing there is I talk about opportunistic defense and how do you create opportunities for your offense. Mendoza, great quarterback. Talked a lot about him. I think he has great claim to the Heisman Trophy. He's thrown a pick in all but one game they've played away from home. We saw it in the Penn State game. We've seen it throughout the season where there's been opportunities to get a turnover. That's an opportunity for your offense that usually leads to a short field. So defensively, you got to be looking at games like that and trying to figure out where you can create those opportunities and capture a short field for your offense. So Indiana, after that, you're likely playing Texas Tech or Oregon. a lot of the teams that they're playing also have really good defenses.
Yeah.
Whether that's Alabama on the pass defense side, Indiana has a great defense, but really you look at the matchup after that, you make it to the semifinals. Texas Tech and Oregon, both really, really good defenses too.
Yep. And it's interesting. I mean, if they beat Indiana, we've obviously seen, like, if they play Oregon, Oregon's played Indiana. So they'll kind of have like that footage of, okay, what did it take to lose to Indiana, or what did it take to beat Indiana? And then it's, I would imagine that Indiana Oklahoma game going like this. You force a turnover for Mendoza. I would imagine a Mateer stat line of about 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 passing. You got the running game involved. Satania gets a touchdown. But there's definitely going to be a couple sacks. Like you have to create pressure. It would be very similar to the Ohio State Indiana game, where it was a low scoring game, no more than 21 points for either team.
Yeah. And that's what Oklahoma wants to do, is control the game. Like they've challenged their opponent to play their game. And that's what I think Oklahoma's doing really well. And if you're in a game like that, like that's what Indiana did, is kind of took the reins a little bit in that game. So if you're playing Indiana, if you're playing Texas Tech, you're playing Oregon, or even the first game against Alabama, you got to force them to play your game. And that's a field position game. It's a game of quarterback pressure, getting the ball out quickly. They're 6th in the nation in defensive starting field position. So there's only 5 teams, of all the teams in the country, they're 6th in how far you have to drive to score against them. It's a great special teams unit causing that, and just a consistent game flow of slowly chopping the field and winning the field position battle.
Yep. And you talk about the special teams, right? Usually if they're getting themselves within the 40 or 30 yard line, they're leaving here with something, as Denzel Washington said before, right? They got the kicker was recognized, I think, on the all SEC team. They're going to leave with something. They're going to score at least in some capacity. When you think about these opponents on their path, I'm kind of challenging you here a little bit. Indiana, Texas Tech, Oregon. Who have they played in the SEC this season that you think are most similar to those opponents? Like if you're an Oklahoma fan, you're thinking like, okay, like what could this game look like, or who have we played similar to those type of teams?
I think, you're looking a little bit, you're taking some things out of your Michigan game. You're taking some things out of your Ole Miss game that you played when you're looking at, Oregon.
Texas
you're
Tech,
looking at Texas Tech. You're looking at more, especially with Oregon, like more dynamic offenses. But if you're looking at good defenses that can get pressure, that have challenged your quarterback, I think you're looking a little bit at the first Alabama game, and you're going to get another run at them when you're looking at the pass defense and knowing. I think you got to know who your offense is at Oklahoma and know who they are, and try to operate within the confines that have maybe presented themselves around that offense. So yeah, I think you're looking at the Alabama game. I think you're looking at the Ole Miss game. It's kind of your primary two. I think you can take some things from the Texas game. It wasn't pretty, but you can take some learning points from that.
Yeah. And they had a little bit of a scare in the LSU game. Like, they were able to kind of get out and win ultimately in the end, but it was a little scary for a little bit there. I don't know if it was just, every team has an off day, but definitely some things to take from there. It's an interesting path. I mean, you get past Indiana, and then you got to play Oregon or Texas Tech. And then, on the back half of the bracket, I think most people believe the championship will either be, Ole Miss, Georgia, Ohio State, or Texas A&M. I'm omitting Miami. They could get there, but like of those 4 opponents from the bottom half of the bracket, who do you think they match up best with between A&M, Georgia, Ohio State, and Ole Miss? They've already played Ole Miss, obviously. So
yeah, I think there's an interesting matchup with A&M. I think that we saw South Carolina get pressure on Marcel Reed, be able to force some turnovers. Looking at that game particularly, I think that presents an opportunity for Oklahoma to apply pressure to a quarterback like Marcel Reed. He can get the ball out early and quickly, but those different looks, the different blitzes right now, Oklahoma is sending about 4.7 on average on the season. You could incorporate some interesting stuff to maybe challenge a quarterback like Marcel Reed, where I think that would be a good, interesting matchup for this defense.
I think so too. I feel like of the opponents, I would say either A&M or Ohio State would be the best matchup. Georgia, I mean, not that they have a crazy pass rush. I don't want to see Kirby in a championship if I'm the other team. I really don't.
Yeah, I could feel you there. I understand that one for sure. Getting a rematch with Ole Miss would be nice as well. as an opportunity for them. I mean, I guess looking here, what are maybe some things to hold them back? I think we know the obvious. Is there any, the defense can stay the same. You're doing your thing, continue to bring that pressure. What needs to change for Oklahoma? Does the offense need to change for this to be a national championship contending team, or can they continue on the path they've been on?
I think, Mateer, to me this season, like, he hasn't been like overly turnover prone. He had that one game against Texas where he had 3 turnovers, but what he has been holding them back from is just, in order to expand the rushing attack, they just need to be a little bit more explosive. I want to see a little bit more explosive plays. And when we do see explosive plays, a lot of times it's yak based, right? We saw it against, Missouri, where there was like a 70-yard touchdown, mostly off a slant to Sasania. I think what's holding them back is just, it's not even just if you're not going to score, eat clock or be explosive, I think, on offense, to me.
Yeah. I want to see a little bit more polishedness around accuracy. I think that the receivers do a good job of getting open. We've seen a couple times where Mateer extending the play has put the ball behind, put the ball in the dirt. I think if you're accurate there, you don't need to be earth-shattering, groundbreaking type of quarterback play or type of offense. I think you just got to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. And if a guy is open and you got to hit him in stride, I think those are the ones that they have to take advantage of. So it's less about changing for the better and like doing something drastically different. It's more about like, you have to be a little bit better execution wise into the things that present themselves. So that's where I see it.
I definitely see it, right? And you did a video kind of going through all 12 quarterbacks in the playoffs right now and what their next steps look like, whether it's NFL, transferring, staying, and coming back. And Mateer, he left so much desired from having 29 touchdowns last season. And, this season, obviously a much lower number. Still culture guy, I keep using that word, like helping them win games. This defense is like an Oklahoma fan's dream. With when you had Kyler Murray and you had Baker Mayfield. He's not losing you games. It's just like, you just want to see a little bit more, just a little bit more in this path. So I think that's the one thing, to your point. It's kind of like a long-winded statement, but like, to your point, like, what could hold them back? Give each other time. Like, you talked about the stat around how quickly they're getting teams off the field. If you're not controlling the time of possession, the defense is going to wear down. And it almost cost them the game against Alabama in some capacity, because Alabama had more chances to be able to score in that game and ultimately were able to outgain them. You have to match that defensive intensity with offensive time off the clock to play a more balanced game.
Yeah.
Which is why they brought in Arbuckle, to me. That was kind of the point of that hire.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking to be able to put your team in situations to score the ball. It sounds obvious, but you look at the Alabama game and nearly every single point that they scored came from the ball already being set up on their half of the field. And, if you look at games in the future and you end up in situations like that, I've used the word like 15 times as we've done this video, that it's all about opportunities, being opportunistic. And if you get the ball and it's across midfield, you need to be putting at least 3 on the board, preferably 7. So that's where I see this team going, as we look forward. Alabama, the first game, Indiana next, likely Texas Tech or Oregon after that, and they're in the national title game. Oklahoma fans, let us know who maybe you want to play, how you see this playing out for Oklahoma. Do they get past their first test with Alabama and in their first trip to the 12-team playoff? Be sure to hit the subscribe button. We're going to be breaking down the Alabama-Oklahoma video more in depth early next week, so don't miss that. As always, I'm Hunter Ziesman, joined here by Randall Adet Jr., talking Oklahoma football. We're excited to see what the playoffs bring, and until next time.